Next concept is introduction to design patterns. Now coming to that of the design patterns, we need to provide a plan to the design patterns saying that why we require a design pattern and what is the necessity of the design pattern. Next, what are the different kinds of elements that are being placed in the design patterns, and what are the different types of design patterns that are being available in the system. Next one is, what is the catalog of the design patterns, and we need to represent it. Now coming to that of why we require a design pattern. Now the purpose of the design pattern is that we need to make our system as simple and it need to be reusable. That means every time as and when the application that is going to be developed, now the applications which are similar in nature, those should have a similar pattern. Now for that we are developing the same pattern once again. So in order to avoid that, this particular design patterns acts like a template and it is being used. That means it provides a solution in such a way in the form of template. Next one is this particular design patterns which shows a very simple nature. Next one, in the design patterns, that means the design patterns, it forms a catalog. The purpose or the meaning of the catalog is that a different set of components that are being placed at one single unit, which it is being defined with a catalog. That means a common interactions of the objects that are being placed at one unit, which it is being referred with the catalog. Now, what are the difficulties that are being observed in the object-oriented analysis and design, and why do we prefer this particular design patterns? Now, in the object-oriented design, we need to show a pertainment of the objects. The second one is we need to show the granularity between the classes, and the third one is that we need to define each and every class interfaces, and we need to show the inheritance between the class to class or class within the class or classes to one class to the other class, and also represent the hierarchy of the inheritance. Now each and every class which is being inherited with the other one to the other, we need to show the relationship. If this is the cases, automatically the classes which are being accessed with certain associations forms a rigid situation. So what we need to do is that we need to make the set of classes or the classes as a flexible design. It should not have any kind of difficulty. The classes which are being represented, it need to be under the reusable state. But in object-oriented analysis and design, it is not being possible. Now, the object-oriented designers, they make good designs, but as and when the experience is being commenced, they start developing good object-oriented designs. But in the initial state, they will be facing a much amount of trouble in designing different kinds of applications. So with design patterns, this is not being done. So we show a much advantage in the design patterns. Now the definition of the patterns. Now in this particular patterns, we'll be showing a good solution to each and every problem. Now the patterns which are being defined, it is showing the solution in such a way that we can easily adopt the solution in the current system as and when it is being required. The first person who has been involved this particular patterns is Greedy Pooch. Greedy Pooch defines that for each and every recurring problem, a solution that is being occurred with the corresponding patterns. Now, each and every pattern, it provides a solution. Now, it depends upon the context of the corresponding problem to what kind of solution that it need to be provided, and also shows that what are the different kinds of consequences that are being observed in the design pattern. That means the pros and cons of the corresponding design pattern. Now, according to Christopher Alexander, the design pattern is defined in such a way that each pattern describes a problem, and the corresponding problem which is occurring number of times, it is being removed. Now, according to the Christopher Alexander, says that the solution, it is not being used number of times for a recurring problem, but it is being justified only for 2 times, and after that, if the design pattern is not being satisfied, we need to change, or the designer need to change the corresponding design pattern. Now, this particular design patterns, it is a combination of the corresponding classes along with the algorithms. The design patterns which shows the descriptions between the class to class, and also shows the descriptions, that means the communication between the objects. This particular design patterns, it is being helpful in such a way that the pattern can be reused, the solutions can be shared to the corresponding common problems which are being occurred. In the design patterns, we can use the corresponding design patterns with the help of tools such as the rational rows, IBM rational rows. So this tool is like a rational software architect. It will be helpful in such a way that each and every component which we want to design it, or the pattern which we want to design it, it will be in a easier state with the help of the corresponding tool. According to the software engineering, this particular design patterns act like a reusable solution. We can easily transform the corresponding design pattern into the code. The object-oriented design patterns, which shows the typical relationship that it can be easily interacted by using the corresponding design patterns. That means the classes or the set of objects can be easily interacted with each other in the application. What are the different essential elements of the pattern? Generally, there are 4 essential elements for the pattern. 1 is the name, the problem, 2 problem, 3 solution, and 4 is nothing but the consequences. Now, while representing the name of the corresponding pattern, make sure that the name of the corresponding pattern, it need to be in a single word or 2, and it should reflect the name should reflect the corresponding problem. And next one is the problem. Now the problem need to be in such a way that it need to be clearly understandable to which design pattern we need to apply it. The designer need to apply it. Now the next one is the solutions. Now in the solution, that represents that what kind of design that need to be performed and what is the relationship that need to be placed in the corresponding classes and what kind of responsibilities that are being taken to the corresponding classes that it need to be provided. Next one is the consequences. The consequences reflects to the result of the corresponding design pattern which it is being applicable for a critical or the complex problem. Now in this we will be identifying the cost, the alternatives, the benefits which are being taken as the consideration of the system or application